Take that step today and receive the gift of a life that finally flows. But what if that step isn't forward? What if the path to flow isn't about movement at all, but about permission? For most of your life, you were told that effort is sacred, that to earn something, you must fight for it. Yet deep down, haven't you felt the exhaustion of swimming against invisible currents? You push, you plan, you try harder, and the river keeps pulling you back. You call it failure. Transurfing calls it imbalance. What if everything you want, the peace, the abundance, the clarity, is already here, quietly orbiting you, waiting not for your struggle, but for your consent? This is the secret most people never see. Life doesn't withhold what you desire, it mirrors what you allow yourself to receive. In this journey, you will understand why flow isn't created by doing more, but by undoing the resistance that keeps you separated from it. You'll see that consciousness doesn't reward force, it harmonizes with alignment. And when alignment happens, reality begins to obey without effort. This isn't mysticism, it's physics of consciousness. The same law that moves galaxies also moves your life, the principle of least resistance. It's what Jesus meant when he said, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." It's what Zealand translated into modern language, external intention, the state where the world cooperates because you've stopped opposing it. Today, I'm not asking you to believe in miracles. I'm asking you to recognize that you are one. That the same intelligence that breathes through stars flows through your chest. And when you stop resisting it, everything begins to organize around your inner permission. If you skip this understanding, you'll continue mistaking motion for progress, discipline for connection, control for creation. But if you stay, if you listen, you'll discover that one simple inner act, the permission to have, can rewrite the entire script of your life. So pause. Breathe. You don't need to chase what already belongs to you. You only need to remember how to allow. Because the current of life never stopped flowing. You just forgot how to let it carry you home. 1. The invisible prison of effort. From childhood, you were taught that life rewards those who try harder, that success belongs to the disciplined, the relentless, the ones who never rest. But what if that belief is the very barrier between you and the life that flows? What if the struggle you glorify is not strength, but resistance disguised as virtue? Transurfing calls it the worship of internal intention, the compulsion to control every outcome, to force reality into submission. It is the invisible prison built from effort, tension, and fear of loss. You think you're mastering the game, but in truth, the game is mastering you. Every time you act from urgency, you confirm to the universe that you don't have, and reality simply agrees that vibration. Science describes this same trap in the body's chemistry. When you chase results through stress, dopamine spikes and crashes, cortisol floods your system, and your nervous network programs scarcity as a habit. You become addicted to effort, unable to rest inside ease. The mind confuses agitation with progress, mistaking movement for momentum. But flow is not motion, it is direction without friction. Imagine a fish struggling against the current. The harder it swims, the faster it tires. Yet if it turns just slightly, aligning with the stream, the same water that once resisted now carries it effortlessly forward. This is how consciousness works. Life is not pushing against you, you are pushing against life. Zealand's insight is radical. You don't create flow by fighting. You fall into it when you stop trying to own the river. When you release control, something greater than willpower takes over, the external intention, the field of infinite coordination that arranges paths beyond logic. To experience this, observe your own energy today. Notice how often your body tightens when things don't go as planned. That tension is the signal that you've left alignment and re-entered the prison of effort. Each breath of frustration is a door closing to flow. Each exhale of surrender is a gate opening back to it. This is not laziness, it's precision. It's the science of cooperation with life instead of domination over it. The one who learns to act without friction becomes unstoppable, not because of force, but because nothing resists him. 2. The law of permission. Reality doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you can allow yourself to have. This single truth separates those who flow through life from those who endlessly chase it. Wanting is not the language the universe understands. Wanting signals absence. It declares to creation, "I don't have." And because consciousness mirrors what it perceives, reality keeps echoing that same vibration. More absence, more waiting.
Permission, however, is a different frequency. It is not desire, it is quiet certainty. It's the shift from "can I" to "of course." When you give yourself permission to have, you are not commanding the universe, you are synchronizing with it. The moment you stop arguing with your own worthiness, reality stops arguing with your desires. Transurfing calls this external intention, the subtle force that moves the world in your favor without struggle. Think of it like a lens. Internal intention strains the world into focus. External intention simply lets clarity appear. In physics, this is resonance. In consciousness, it's alignment. In faith, it's surrender. And in Scripture, it's the same power spoken through the words, "As you believe, so shall it be done unto you." Belief here doesn't mean hoping, it means knowing, accepting, embodying. Neuroscience confirms this law through the principle of predictive coding. The brain doesn't wait for proof, it creates patterns that match what it expects. When you decide that something is natural for you, your perception filters reality to validate it. The mind bends the outer world to its inner permission. So, what have you not allowed yourself to receive? Wealth? Peace? Rest? Love? Each one already exists as a probability field around you. You don't need to attract it, you need to allow it in. When the soul whispers yes and the reason no longer resists, a current forms between the two. That current is what Zealand calls flow, the state where intention and reality become one movement. Every spiritual tradition points to this same moment of internal permission. It's the fall of resistance, the silence after prayer, the instant when effort dissolves into grace. You are not rewarded for your struggle, you are reflected in your acceptance. 3. The myth of worthiness. From the moment you were born, the world began teaching you the language of earning. You were told that love must be deserved, success must be paid for, and peace must be justified. Every achievement became a receipt for existence. Yet this is the greatest illusion of all, the belief that you must qualify for what already belongs to you by nature. This myth of worthiness is the quiet virus that infects the human soul. It makes you chase approval when life was always unconditional. It ties your right to receive to performance and moral effort. It convinces you that wealth corrupts, that joy is suspicious, and that ease means you're not trying hard enough. But look closely. Who benefits when you doubt your own permission to thrive? Not you, but the pendulums that feed on guilt, scarcity, and fear. In truth, the universe is profoundly neutral. It doesn't moralize energy. It doesn't weigh your past against your potential. It responds, mechanically and precisely, to your state of being. The field doesn't judge your desire, it reflects your allowance. When you feel unworthy, reality obeys that vibration. It cannot contradict your belief in limitation. Psychology calls this cognitive dissonance, the discomfort of holding a vision your self-image rejects. You can visualize abundance for hours, but if your inner identity whispers, "I'm not ready," that whisper becomes the louder command. The subconscious is the architect of destiny, and it only builds what feels safe to inhabit. That's why expansion always begins with safety, not ambition. Think of worthiness not as a measure of value, but as a capacity to receive. Imagine trying to fill a closed vessel with water. The universe keeps pouring, but nothing enters because the lid is guilt. You are not being denied, you're self-sealing. Transurfing invites you to open the vessel, to declare without proof that you deserve the best. Not through arrogance, but through remembrance. You are a fragment of the same intelligence that created oceans and stars. How could that intelligence consider you unworthy of its own abundance? Ask yourself now, where in your life have you mistaken guilt for humility? Where have you glorified struggle because it felt safer than receiving? Every honest answer loosens the chains of an inherited story. When the soul finally accepts that worthiness was never a reward, but a fact, something profound happens. Life starts to meet you halfway. 4. When desire blocks the flow. Desire feels powerful, but often it's the very wall standing between you and what you seek. Most people mistake intensity for magnetism. They believe the stronger the desire, the closer they are to having it. Yet in energetic terms, desire is the vibration of absence. It tells the universe, "I do not have." And the universe, impartial and obedient, reflects that statement back through reality. Transurfing calls this excess potential. The moment you assign too much importance to an outcome, you distort the energetic balance of life. That distortion must neutralize itself. So the harder you want something, the more reality pushes it away to restore equilibrium. Wanting becomes resistance disguised as passion. Imagine holding water in a clenched fist. The tighter you grip, the less you keep. Now open your hand. The same water that slipped away begins to rest gently on your palm. Desire is the fist. Allowing is the open hand. One creates turbulence, the other invites stillness. Neuroscience supports this energetic law. Studies on goal fixation show that when we attach anxiety to a desired result, the brain's amygdala interprets it as threat, activating stress chemistry that narrows focus and blocks creativity. The mind becomes obsessed with the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Flow cannot pass through that tension. Heart-brain coherence research from the HeartMath Institute reveals the opposite state. When emotion and intention synchronize, the heart's electromagnetic field stabilizes, sending a signal of completion, not need. The universe doesn't respond to words, it responds to coherence. It answers the frequency of already done. The key is not to extinguish desire, but to refine it. Let it evolve from craving to knowing. You can hold a vision without hunger, dream without desperation, move without strain. The soul doesn't need to convince reality, it needs to remember that reality is already listening. So when you feel that longing rising, pause. Ask yourself, is this energy of absence or fulfillment? If it's absence, breathe. Relax the grip.
The moment you stop trying to possess, you become magnetic to everything that once ran from you. In transurfing, this is the point where the pendulum loses its hold and flow begins to move again. You cease being a beggar of probabilities and become a conductor of them. 5. The two intentions, inner versus outer. There are two forces moving through every act of creation. One is the intention of the mind, internal intention, and the other is the intention of the universe, external intention. The first pushes, the second pulls. The first commands, the second invites. Understanding the difference between them is the hinge on which your entire reality turns. Internal intention is the realm of control. It is the force that says, "I will make this happen," using effort, planning, and resistance. It's what the world celebrates as ambition. But this ambition has a hidden cost. It separates you from the field of infinite coordination that governs life effortlessly. The harder you try to dominate the process, the more the universe mirrors domination back to you. Resistance, friction, exhaustion. External intention is the opposite. It begins not with action, but with alignment. It is the state where you allow the universe to move through you, using you as the path of least resistance for its own expression. You no longer chase outcomes. Outcomes gravitate toward your vibration. This isn't passivity. It's supreme cooperation. Imagine two musicians. One tries to control every note, tense and analytical, afraid to err. The other listens deeply, letting the melody guide their hands. The second doesn't play the music plays through them. This is the art of external intention. When you act from that state, you enter quantum coordination. Reality starts arranging events, people, and timing with precision your logic could never design. You've felt this before. Those moments when things seem to unfold with impossible timing, when the right person appears or the door opens before you knock. You call it luck, intuition, grace. Transurfing calls it flow, life responding to your inner permission. Science hints at this through the concept of coherence. When the brain's prefrontal control centers relax, alpha and theta rhythms synchronize with the heart's electromagnetic field. The result is a measurable harmony between intention and environment, what some researchers describe as a bioenergetic feedback loop between consciousness and reality itself. In simple words, internal intention says, "I must move the world." Outer intention whispers, "The world already moves with me." One burns energy, the other amplifies it. The shift is subtle but absolute. The moment you stop forcing life to obey and instead trust the current to carry you, everything begins to align without conflict. 6. The mirror principle, how reality reflects you. Reality is not a battlefield. It's a mirror, silent, obedient, precise. It doesn't reward faith or punish doubt. It only reflects the vibration you hold the longest. Most people, unaware of this, shout commands at the reflection instead of adjusting the face in front of it. They fight the image, never realizing that what they call fate is simply feedback. The mirror principle explains why change often feels delayed. When you shift internally, the outer world doesn't instantly rearrange. It takes time for the new image to appear in the reflection. This delay is where most people lose faith. They plant the seed, but dig it up to check if it's growing. The mirror needs consistency, not inspection. In transurfing, the law is clear. Life reflects not your words, but your state. If you live in doubt, the mirror will show reasons to doubt. If you live in gratitude, it multiplies what you're grateful for. The outer world is the projection of the film playing within you. You are both director and actor, but the projector is your consciousness. Science reveals a similar process through the observer effect in quantum mechanics.
The act of observation changes the outcome of an experiment. Reality reorganizes itself in response to the awareness directed toward it. Consciousness collapses probabilities into form. What you continuously observe within, your assumptions, emotions, and beliefs, becomes the pattern that matter must obey. Scripture mirrors this truth with haunting simplicity. We all, with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, are transformed into the same image. From you become what you behold. What you study with feeling, you duplicate in form. To test this principle, observe your life for a single day without judgment. Notice how situations echo your inner tone. When you wake anxious, everything feels urgent. When you breathe peace, circumstances bend toward harmony. Reality is neutral until you color it with perception. The mirror never lies, but it also never argues. When you realize this, control loses meaning. The work isn't to fix the reflection, it's to master the face you're showing. So look closely, not at what you want to change, but at what you continue to project. The moment you shift within, the mirror begins to shimmer with new possibility. 7. The slide of reality, reprogramming your inner movie. Before anything appears in your world, it exists as an image within you, a slide in the film projector of consciousness. Every thought charged with emotion becomes one frame of that movie, and reality, ever faithful, plays it on the screen of your life. The problem is that most people let the film run on autopilot. They replay fear, scarcity, guilt, and wonder why the same scenes return. You don't need new goals, you need a new movie. Transurfing teaches that your slide is not fantasy, it's a draft of the future waiting for your permission to become tangible. When you deliberately craft this internal movie, you begin shifting probabilities toward that chosen line of life. But there's a crucial rule. The slide must not be built on desire, it must be built on possession. Don't imagine what you want to have, imagine what you already have. The difference is energetic and absolute. Visualize yourself walking through your desired reality, not as a visitor, but as its rightful inhabitant. Notice the smallest details, the texture of air, the weight of calm, the absence of longing. This sensory immersion convinces the subconscious that the experience is real, and once the subconscious accepts it, external intention begins the coordination process. Neuroscience calls this predictive coding. The brain constantly updates its internal model of reality and adjusts perception to fit that model. When your inner movie is consistent, your nervous system aligns with it, filtering stimuli that support your chosen narrative. The external world bends subtly to validate the new expectation. Zealand compares this to tuning a radio. Every frequency already exists, you only receive the one you match. The slide is your tuner, your declaration of frequency. When you hold that inner vision with relaxed confidence, you're not forcing creation, you're synchronizing with the version of reality where it already exists. Do this gently, never with strain. The goal is not to hypnotize yourself, but to re-educate your energy. Over time, the distance between inner vision and outer reflection shrinks, and one morning you find yourself living inside what once felt like imagination. When you understand the slide, manifestation stops feeling mystical and starts feeling mechanical. It's not magic, it's the mathematics of consciousness repeating what it's shown. 7. The soul-mind agreement, when reason finally surrenders. There is a moment when the inner conflict ends, when the soul stops whispering and the mind finally listens. That union is the beginning of flow. Before that, your consciousness is divided. The soul feels infinite, but the mind insists on logic, on control, on fear. Each desires the same outcome, yet they speak different languages. The soul feels truth, the mind demands proof. Flow begins the instant those two languages translate into one. Transurfing calls this coherence between reason and heart. It's the point where internal friction dissolves and energy once spent on resistance becomes pure motion.
Neuroscience identifies this state too, when the default mode network quiets and the brain synchronizes with the heart's rhythm, the body enters physiological harmony. You're no longer a divided system, you become an instrument tuned to the field. Think of an orchestra. If one instrument plays off-key, the entire symphony sounds dissonant. But when each note aligns, music emerges naturally, effortless, beautiful, inevitable. The soul is the melody, reason is the structure. When they agree, the universe responds as the audience, echoing the harmony back. The mind surrenders not through weakness, but through understanding. It realizes that logic alone cannot manage infinite variables. It learns that certainty is not control, but connection. Once the mind experiences how perfectly reality coordinates when it steps aside, trust replaces tension. That is surrender. Not giving up, but giving over. At this stage, thoughts lose their noise. Decisions become clear without debate. Opportunities appear in precise timing because the field now moves without interference. You act, but the action feels guided, as if something larger is working through you. This is external intention taking command. Zelen describes it as standing in the corridor between worlds, where every possible version of you already exists. When the mind and soul agree on which door to open, the universe doesn't resist. It rearranges itself instantly. In that silence after surrender, you realize something profound. Flow is not a gift you receive from the universe. It's the natural rhythm of a consciousness that has stopped arguing with itself. 9. The permission practice, daily alignment. The theory of flow means little without embodiment. Permission must become a daily practice, not an idea you remember when things fall apart, but a state you return to until it becomes natural. This is the discipline of allowing, the art of conscious alignment. It begins the moment you wake up. Before your feet touch the ground, observe your first thought. Is it heavy? Is it anxious? That's your cue, the signal that your mind is trying to take control before the soul has even spoken. Pause. Breathe deeply. Whisper inwardly, "I allow life to move through me." This simple phrase resets your vibration, turning attention from effort to openness. Throughout the day, notice where tension accumulates. The shoulders, the jaw, the breath. The body is the first to tell you when you've left flow. Each contraction is a message. You've started resisting again. Don't fight it. Just exhale. Every breath that softens resistance invites external intention to resume its work. Transurfing teaches that life responds to your energy, not your schedule. You can plan, but never force. So as you move through tasks, measure them by ease, not volume. If the energy feels strained, step back. The vector of flow has shifted. Redirect your attention until clarity returns. The universe doesn't need you to move fast. It needs you to move aligned. A practical method. 3 times a day, stop and scan your emotional field. Ask, what am I not allowing right now? The answer might surprise you. Often it's not a person or event, but an expectation of how things should unfold.
When you release that expectation, the invisible gears of coordination start turning again. In neurophysiology, this act of conscious release lowers cortisol and increases alpha coherence, restoring the brain's receptivity. In spiritual language, you're rejoining the current. Both describe the same phenomenon. Reality can only cooperate when you're relaxed enough to perceive its cues. End each day in gratitude, but not the mechanical kind. Feel genuine appreciation for what flowed and what didn't. Resistance has its own wisdom. It reveals where the ego still clings to control. The more gently you meet that resistance, the faster it dissolves. Permission is not a switch you flip once. It's a muscle you train daily. And like any muscle, it grows stronger through awareness, not force. 10. Expanding the zone of comfort. Growth doesn't demand war against yourself. It asks for familiarity with the unknown. The zone of comfort isn't a cage. It's a perimeter defined by what your nervous system believes is safe. To expand it, you don't need violence. You need gentleness repeated until safety stretches wider. Transurfing teaches that true evolution happens not in leaps, but in calibration. Each time you introduce a small dose of discomfort, a new choice, an honest conversation, a risk without panic, your subconscious rewrites its definition of normal. The goal isn't to force yourself beyond fear, but to walk hand in hand with it until it becomes curiosity.
Neuroscience names this process neuroplasticity. The brain reorganizes itself through exposure to mild challenge followed by recovery. The same circuit that once triggered alarm begins associating the new experience with neutrality. That's how the edge of comfort shifts outward, quietly, steadily, without trauma. Imagine a flame learning to burn brighter without consuming itself. That's how awareness expands. The more you practice gentle exposure, the more your energy system adapts to higher frequencies of possibility. Flow then includes more of life, more uncertainty, more joy, more responsibility, without contraction. Try this. Each day, do one thing that lightly stretches your boundaries. Speak truth where you once stayed silent. Invest time in what you've postponed out of fear. Sit with silence instead of distraction. After each act, breathe and acknowledge, my comfort zone just expanded. Your body will learn that safety isn't about control, it's about capacity. In transurfing, the expanding zone of comfort marks the bridge between internal and external intention. The smaller the gap between what you can imagine and what feels safe to receive, the faster reality aligns. Flow doesn't rush, it integrates. And with every small permission, the impossible becomes ordinary. The seed never breaks the soil by violence. It rises through surrender. So do you. The earth doesn't resist its emergence, and neither should you resist your own unfolding. Growth was never meant to hurt. It was meant to harmonize. 11. The quantum economy of effort. Nature is efficient. It never wastes energy, and neither does consciousness. The universe operates under one law of movement, the principle of least action. Every atom, every galaxy, every cell chooses the path of minimal resistance to achieve perfect order. Humanity, however, was taught the opposite, that more effort means more worth. This conditioning makes you spend energy where precision is needed instead of force. Transurfing calls this imbalance the excess potential of control. When you push reality, you create turbulence in the field. Energy that could flow toward coordination is diverted into resistance. It's like rowing against a current designed to carry you exactly where you want to go. The quantum field does not respond to exhaustion, it responds to coherence. Think of consciousness as a vast economy where attention is currency. Each thought, emotion, and reaction spends that currency into creation. Most people live in energetic debt. investing attention in worry, frustration, and doubt. Flow is the opposite. It's energetic profit, the state where every action generates more vitality than it consumes. Physics reflects this law through entropy. Systems naturally move toward balance, not chaos. In your inner world, balance is achieved when desire and belief align, when you act from calm rather than craving. That's the energetic equivalent of the least action principle, maximum result with minimum strain. Neuroscience calls it transient hypofrontality, the quieting of the brain's control center during peak performance. Athletes, artists, mystics all describe it the same way. The moment they stop trying, something larger takes over. Time stretches, effort disappears, yet precision increases. That's external intention managing the equation of life for you. The lesson is simple but revolutionary. Effort is expensive, alignment is free. When you act from the energy of flow, everything cooperates. Synchronicities replace obstacles. Inspiration replaces planning. You don't burn through your life force to manifest, you recycle it into expansion. So begin measuring your day not by how much you did, but by how much resistance you felt while doing it. If effort drained you, you paid too high a price. If action felt effortless yet powerful, you've entered the quantum economy of flow. Here, efficiency is divine, and every movement becomes sacred because nothing is wasted. The gift of flow? What happens after you allow? When permission becomes natural, life stops feeling like something to manage and starts feeling like something that moves through you. Flow isn't a mystical state reserved for the enlightened. It's the default rhythm of existence once resistance ends. It's what happens when you finally trust the intelligence that breathes galaxies and guides rivers to the sea. In flow, events begin to arrange themselves with such elegance that logic struggles to keep up. The right people appear at the right time. Choices unfold without deliberation. What once felt like coincidence reveals itself as coordination. You no longer wake with the heaviness of effort. You rise into the ease of alignment. Psychology describes this state as optimal experience, complete immersion where action and awareness merge. Spiritual traditions describe it as grace. Transurfing calls it external intention in motion. They're all describing the same reality, the moment when life's current carries you because you've stopped trying to swim against it.
The signs of flow are unmistakable. There is calm without passivity, confidence without arrogance, clarity without thought. You act, but it feels like being acted through. You speak, but wisdom seems to borrow your voice. The old noise of self-doubt fades into a silence filled with quiet certainty. Biologically, this is coherence, the synchronized pulse of heart and mind that produces measurable harmony in the body's electromagnetic field. Spiritually, it's the recognition that you were never separate from the universe you were trying to control. Flow is the reunion of creator and creation. And with that reunion comes abundance, not as accumulation, but as rhythm. Everything you need arrives in perfect timing because you've become part of the timing itself. The universe was never withholding, it was waiting for you to stop resisting its generosity. This is the true gift of flow, not the material manifestations that follow, but the return to your natural state of grace. Once you've tasted it, striving loses its appeal. You understand that power doesn't come from effort, but from alignment with the intelligence that makes effort unnecessary. You stop chasing signs because you become one. 13. The call to action. Comment phrase. Every transformation begins with an act of acknowledgement. Writing it, speaking it, claiming it. This is how consciousness seals a new command into form. The mind translates language into neural architecture, and words become energy patterns that the universe reads as instruction. So before we continue, I'll invite you to anchor this awareness into reality.
If this message resonates with you, go to the comments and write, "I allow life to flow through me." Do not write it as affirmation. Write it as remembrance. Because the moment those words leave your mind, you are declaring harmony between soul and reason, an energetic contract with the field itself. It's not engagement for the algorithm, it's permission encoded in vibration. This act is simple, but its implications are vast. In behavioral psychology, this is called embodiment, the process by which abstract belief becomes tangible through physical expression. In spiritual law, it's confession, aligning spoken word with inner knowing. When you articulate truth, the mirror of reality updates. Pause as you write. Feel the meaning behind each word. I allow. Surrender without loss of power. Life. The current that has never stopped moving. To flow through me. The return of cooperation between your will and the will of the field. You're not asking for flow, you're confirming it. You're declaring that effort no longer governs you and resistance no longer defines you. From this moment, your energy re-enters coordination with something far greater than personal intention. So write it, let it echo beyond the screen, and know that this simple act, this digital prayer, marks the beginning of a new trajectory where life finally moves as it was meant to, through you, not against you. 14. The step taken. Take that step today and receive the gift of a life that finally flows. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances improve, but now. Because the step was never external. It was the quiet decision to stop resisting the natural current of existence. Everything that followed, the insights, the practices, the awareness, was only preparation for this single movement of consciousness: permission. Flow begins when you remember that the universe is not separate from you. The same force that spins stars and opens flowers is the one moving your breath. You're not here to dominate reality, you're here to dance with it. The rhythm of that dance was written long before your doubt began. All your life you were told to swim harder, to fight, to earn, to conquer. But the river never needed your struggle, it needed your trust. The step you take today is inward, into alignment, into stillness, into the recognition that life was never waiting for your effort, it was waiting for your agreement. When you stop demanding, everything starts responding. When you stop fearing, timing becomes precise. When you stop grasping, hands once empty begin to overflow. Flow does not require explanation, it requires surrender. And surrender, in truth, is the highest form of mastery. So let the world move. Let circumstances unfold. You don't need to control the waves to reach the shore. You only need to remember that the current was always carrying you there. Take that step, not as a leap of faith, but as a return to what you've always known. The universe flows through those who no longer resist it. And as you listen to the last notes fade, let this sentence echo quietly within you. The river of life has never stopped moving. Today, you finally stopped swimming against it. That is the moment flow begins.